Ready to have your mind blown.
Always up for it.
What do we got?
We're diving into SpaceX. Not just the rockets, but like the whole Elon Musk vision thing, you know?
Shooting for Mars and beyond. I'm in.
Right. So we checked out this video, how SpaceX revolutionized space travel. Elon Musk's vision for the future. And it's wild. They're not just talking about visiting space, they're talking about, like, living there.
Which is a pretty massive shift, right? I mean, for the longest time, space travel was purely a government thing, super expensive and kind of limited. SpaceX wants to make it, well, almost normal.
Yeah, like hopping on a plane. And a huge part of that is, get this, reusable rockets, which honestly never even crossed my mind that they weren't reusable before.
Blows your mind, right? Imagine if airlines junked a plane after every flight. That's basically how space travel USA need to be.
Bonkers. So how'd SpaceX even crack that?
They figured out how to land the first stage, that's the big booster part of the rocket, back on Earth, refuel it, use it again. Huge cost cutter when you're launching stuff or, people into orbit. So, cheaper space travel. What were we using that for? The video mentions some pretty ambitious missions.
Well, Mars is the big one. And we're not talking a few astronauts planting a flag, Musk wants a self-sustaining city. Like living on Mars. For real.
Whoa, okay, that's a lot to process. Anything a little closer to home, impact-wise?
How about global high-speed internet? That's Starlink. A whole network of satellites beaming down internet, even to the most remote places.
So that's how I get Wi-Fi in my basement. Finally. Seriously, though, that's huge for connecting everyone. Okay, so big goals, but what about what they've actually done? The video mentioned some pretty big wins already.
Well, for starters, they were the first private company to send a spacecraft to the International Space Station. That's huge. Up until then, it was all government agencies. SpaceX proved private companies could play in that arena.
Right, because for a long time, space travel felt kind of stuck. Like, we went to the moon, and then what? So, reusable rockets, getting to the ISS. What were some of the big roadblocks they had to bust through to make it all happen?
It was a wild ride, engineering-wise. Like figuring out heat shields that could handle coming back into the atmosphere. That's intense heat. And then landing a rocket. That's like landing a skyscraper on a postage stamp. Precision was everything.
I just keep thinking about that city on Mars idea. Is that even doable in our lifetime?
I wouldn't rule it out. The technology is a huge hurdle, obviously. Protecting astronauts from radiation on the trip, creating a life support system on a whole other planet. That's intense. Plus, think of the psychological impact being that far from Earth for that long.
Wow. It's kind of humbling, right? Makes you think, with all the focus on what SpaceX is doing now, what problems might they solve down the line that we haven't even considered yet?
Exactly. And that's the exciting part. It's not just about space. It's about pushing boundaries, which can lead to solutions and innovations we never even dreamed of.
It really makes you think, what could be possible if we keep pushing those boundaries? And what impact will that have on our lives and the future?